Ano nangyari? Parang nakat yata ako. May nagalit yata sa akin. Galit ka ba, Mark Zuckerberg, sa akin dahil may sinabi ako? I think itong Facebook has some weirdness going on, no? Actually, kahapon nung gumawa tayo ng FB Live, medyo nag-cut. Hindi siya nag-upload for a while. So, let's see. Okay, ito. Ito na tayo. Kay Lenny na tayo. Kung kailan, nandun na tayo kay Lenny, nagpipick up na yung discussion natin, biglang nag-cut itong FB. Ano nangyari dito? Anyway, so, ang pinag-usapan natin in 2016, so titignan mo, si Chizo Escudero was very strong, no, dun sa 2016 race. Pero later on, ito si Marcos and Lenny, no, in this kind of binary competition, both sila nag-rise together, and then eventually Lenny took over, no? Took over the pole position, but overtook also Marcos, no? So nakita natin yan dun sa 2016 race. And let's be very clear, as far as I remember, Pulse Asia survey showed that Lenny actually was the number one before the election weekend all started. No, I mean, a week or so before the elections, Lenny was already number one. So dun sa mga nagsabi na, hindi nanalo si Lenny, blah blah. I mean, first of all, just look at the last survey of Pulse Asia in 2016. Lenny was already there. Of course, statistically virtually tied sila, but still Lenny was the one with the momentum, and Lenny was there. So you can see from 1% she went all the way there, not only beating the centrist candidate Escudero, but rising together with Marcos in the ranks and then overtaking Marcos. And then, of course, even this Supreme Court, I'm not gonna go too deep into it, eventually, voted in favor of Lenny over and over again. Parang lumaki pa nga yung votes ni Lenny, di ba, nung nagkaroon ng recount. So, let's see, okay. Anyways, so, kita natin na, machinery or not, it also depends dun sa candidate. Kasi yun nga, sabi ko nga, Maroas and Binay had the machinery. Kamusta naman yung performance nila in the last elections? Pagdating naman kay Digong, Tatay Digong, he didn't have much of a machinery when he started. He was single digits, not too strong, but, his narrative, his conviction, his charisma captured the imagination of the people. Not to mention yung mga, kung ano-anong sinasabi niya na clickbait, immediately headline siya. So, Duterte didn't need much of campaign advertisement expenditures nung una kasi he's always in the headlines, di ba? Kung ano-anong sinasabi ni Pangulong Duterte noon, di ba? So you see, Duterte without machinery was able to take off, no? And tingnan mo nung time na yan, Duterte was up against Binay, Vice President Binay. Machinery, charisma, populism, Makati model. He was against Marojas, DILG secretary, dating senator na nag-top ng Senate race, at least one of the anointed successors of then President Benigno Aquino, who had around 50-60% approval ratings. Then Grace po, the rising star in the late 2015, no? So ahead of the elections, Grace po was doing very, very well, and she was really surging towards the end of the year. And so Duterte was against these three big candidates, no? From Imperial Manila, all of the name recognition, all the resources, and Duterte won. So, Duterte's shocking victory in many ways tells us a lot about how uncertain and unpredictable yung elections natin can be, no? It really depends on how you perform throughout the race. Kasi marathon to hindi ito sprint People think this is a sprint. Kung sinong pinaka ganito, maraming resources, pogi, mananalo. That's not how it works. It's a marathon. You grind it down until you break your opponents. That's how you win it, no? And President Duterte was able to pull off that magic last time in 2016 elections. Lenny in the vice presidential race was able to grind it all the way until to the finish line, and yan, nanalo siya, no? And Supreme Court over and over again voted in her favor. Lumaki pa nga natin yung votes niya after the recount, no? So, sorry na lang dun sa iba, na ayaw mag-move on, pero nagsabi mag-move on tayo sa nangyari 30-40 years ago, para ayaw mag-move on dun sa nangyari recently. But anyways, let's not go there. So, another thing is very interesting with Lenin here, is that she's a vice president. And then pansin nyo, usually vice presidents have quite a prominent position doon sa loob ng, ayan, medyo, pwede ko nang gamitin yung mga kamay ko kasi meron na akong holder dyan. Masyado malapit pa. Yan, pwede natin gamitin. Okay, saan tayo? Well, usually vice presidents have a permanent cabinet position, di ba? Yun ang meron tayo in the past. And in some cases, the vice presidents eventually became presidents. In the case of, I think, Arroyo, Erap, among other things. So these were people who were vice president, became the president. As vice president, they had some sort of position in the government. So, so when they ran for the presidency, medyo, parang associated na sila sa sa incumbent, di ba? And if our presidential elections, they tend to be anti-incumbent, in the same way that our midterm elections tend to be, no? So not 100%, it's not the exact law, but tend to be pro-incumbents sa midterms, anti-incumbents sa presidential. So if you're a vice president trying to run for the presidency, usually ang mangyayari sa is that you will take the blame also dun sa mga incompetence, corruption, kung anong mga kakulangan ng yung sitting president, no, na who cannot run again. So actually the vice president becomes vulnerable dun sa atake, sa blowback against the president, no? Even though siguro yung cabinet position mo is not the best, or even though hindi ka ganun ka-close kay president, whether this is the case of Erap in the past or Arroyo in the past and so on and so forth, you know, so as a vice president, you're kind of made answerable dun sa kapalpakan ng presidente. Well, interesting thing here is that that's not gonna be the case for LENI Robredo, because LENI Robredo has been persecuted over and over again throughout the years, not by one camp but two powerful camps. She was effectively out of the government for year after year after year. She had very limited budget, and with that limited budget, well, sinabi naman ni Vice Presidente kanina, ang dami nilang nagawa even with very limited budget. So imagine what they're expected to do if they have full access to state resources, of course, in a transparent, accountable way. Tignan nyo, sino nag-top ng COA, no? Ng COA assessment over and over and over again. It was the Office of the Vice Presidency. This is a fact. Huwag kayong magalit. Huwag kayong magalit. This is a fact, okay? Sinasabi ko lang, don't get mad at facts. I'm just relaying facts, okay? Huwag tayong magalit dyan. Okay, parang sarap na hindi ako nangangalay ng ganun na may older. Okay, I can pull off this. So, you know, many people talk about, you know, lack of competitiveness with LENI, walang machinery, walang this and walang that. But the reality is that she can credibly position herself as the candidate of the opposition. In fact, she can credibly, of course, she's opposition, but credibly position herself as an alternative candidate. Dahil nga, hindi naman siya kasama dun sa mga government policy right and left. Nung, di ba, pinasok pa siya for a while dun sa issue ng drug war, di ba? Anong ginawa ni LENI Robredo? Ang ginawa ni Vice President LENI Robredo was to try to clean up the drug war. At, yeah, pinalis na naman siya. So every time she's there, she tries to fix a mess. Gusto niya ayusin ang issue, papaalisin siya. So definitely, LENI, you know, no one can credibly accuse her of, no one can, hoist yung incompetence ng incumbent on LENI because she was not part of the administration in one way or another, di ba? So she can credibly present herself as an alternative. So dito sa election, dun sa speech niya kanina na kung kailan in-announce niya na talagang tatakbo siya bilang presidente, which we said it's almost, a given. Tingnan niyo naman yung ating mga FB lives in the past and tweets in the past. Well, she can credibly make that case, and she can credibly go around the country and say, oh, eto, natry niyo, di ba? Dutertismo, yan ang gusto niyo, di ba? Oh, tignan nyo ano nangyari. Tignan nyo ano nangyari, di ba? Tignan nyo yung Nikkei Asian Review latest survey of Resilience Index and Recovery Index. Bottom of the world ang Pilipinas dun sa rankings. I mean, ibang klase tong best president in the solar system natin. Best in the solar system yung president, tapos yung ranking ng country mo, bottom. I mean, last talaga. Ipopost ko mamaya dyan. Tignan nyo. Tignan nyo rin yung indices from Lowy Institute, from Bloomberg, from Lancet. Puro mga talagang kulela, talagang laggard in the region and some of the rankings in the world, no? So siguro she can credibly say, oh, gusto niya yung best president in the solar system. Tignan natin ang nangyari. Siguro naman, hindi naman best in solar system this time, kahit yung medyo matino na just competent and decent and all of that, and may puso, may training naman. Lawyer din, pero yung legal training ginagamit siguro sa, in a way na sang-ayon sa ating saligang batas. No? Hindi gamitin yung legal expertise to work around the law. Eh yun nga problema natin. We have had 2 lawyer presidents in the past 4 or 5 decades. Tignan mo nangyari. Yung isa nag-declare martial law, ito, kay tatay, tingnan natin, di ba? But LENI could become the next lawyer president, potentially, and position herself as a lawyer president who's gonna use her legal expertise to help the people. At alam natin, in the past, LENI was a lawyer, if I'm not mistaken, dun sa mga magsasaka, dun sa mga marginalized groups. She was really a grassroots figure. Hindi talaga siya liberal party and all of that. In fact, interesting to see, pink na ang color, hindi na dilaw, no? So, ano bang tawag kung dilawan pag dilaw? Ano bang tawag pag pink? Ano ba? Anyone? Ano bang attack ngayon? Ayan, nakon. Oy, wag ganun ha. Oy, Dante, wag ganun. Huwag kayo mag-homophobic comments dito. Uy, andyan si Jaime Kamusta? Yan, yung mga old friends natin nandyan. Yan, so, ako po, pati yung mga ibang friends natin nandyan na yata. Shout out, yeah. So yun, saan tayo? Ayan, so, Lenny's strength. Kasi Bicolano, no, yung iba dyan. Ay, may mga Bicolano tayo, mga friends nandito. Medyo excited. Yan, that's good. Interesting. Again, I'm not endorsing anyone. And by the way, this color coordination has nothing to do with politics. This is just my style. I mean, just me. You can see my pictures wearing this combination before. It's just me. Okay. Anyways, don't worry, magpupula din ako. Naka-blue ako nung isang araw. It doesn't mean anything. Ano bang kulay ni Pacquiao? By the orange ba? Parang si Binay. Tingnan natin. Ano bang kulay niya? Pink, pinkero, hindi, dilawan. So ano pag naka-pink? Rosas? Espanyol, okay. Ano yan? Okay, anyways, let's move on from that. Mamaya natin pag-usapan yan, magki-Q&A tayo. So, what I'm saying here is that Lenny's strength right now is actually her weakness. Di ba? Over the years. Kasi ang weakness niya is that hindi siya kasama sa gobyerno, hindi siya binibigyan ng budget, minimarginalize siya, di ba? But now, that weakness is her strength. Because she can position herself and can say, well, lahat na itong Farmali, lahat na itong grabe nangyari sa West Philippine Sea, sa Reed Bank, ganon, I was not in the position of government. I cannot be held accountable. And guess what? Even na napaka-limited yung aking resources, I made the most out of it to help yung mga mangingisda na binuli ng China, to help yung mga efforts sa vaccination. There was an effort together with, I think, Yorme in terms of the vaccination drive. So my collaborative aspect, doon sa COA reports, over and over again, nag-top si LENI Robredo. So, she can make this case very, very strongly. Let's see what Pacquiao is going to make as his case for the presidency. And Yorme, of course, he has also many projects and cases to make here. No? But in case of LENI, she also was able to prove yung kanyang resilience, fortitude, and perseverance. Considering the fact na grabe, di ba? I mean, you're being trolled by both sides. And we know who are these both sides. No? Like, that was not an easy job. But her weakness is now going to be her strength. Now, ang question ngayon is, by the way, meron tayong, yes, LENI is both a lawyer and an economist. Economist, which is a very important profession or a training. Kasi lalong-lalo na, Philippines has suffered one of the deepest recessions on earth. 5 quarters of contraction, close to 10% GDP contraction last year. Yung recovery natin has been among the weakest in the world. Base dun sa Nikkei Asia Review rankings, it's at the bottom of the world in terms of recovery. So you need also an economist to help out in terms of yung vision, yung policy of economic recovery and all. You see, LENI Robredo will not have to rely on advisors to tell her about macroeconomics. She knows it already. And she's a graduate, if I'm not mistaken, UP School of Economics, right? I took some courses there in the past. Fantastic professors. I love economics. It's a fantastic, training. It really helps you a lot in terms of policy making and all. And LENI Robredo is a graduate of the UP School of Economics, the premier school for economists in the country and one of the best in the region, right? If not in the world. So, yan. Ang tanong though ngayon is, because 3 factors yung pinag-usapan ko before. Now, why you shouldn't dismiss a LENI bid for presidency? Kasi ang daming dismissive sa kanya, di ba? And by the way, I mean, just before going to that, LENI Robredo tried her best. Diba? She tried to bring everyone together. She tried to put Pacquiao and Isko together. It didn't work out. May sariling ambition yung dalawa. Iba yung kanilang perspective pagdating sa politika and what should be done and how they should position themselves in the coming elections. No? Again, more healing president mode si Isko. More anti-corruption crusade si Pacquiao. No? So medyo hindi tumugma, no? And then there was an effort to also build a unity team with Lacson, no? Senator Lacson. It didn't work out. I mean, from the very beginning, alam natin hindi mag-work out yet. Remember yung sinabi ni Senator Lacson, I think a few months ago, when he said, may unity formula siya and all. What is that? That LENI will not run and Senator Lacson will run? And again, all due respect, Senator Lacson is known for a strong stance on law and order. Diba, kamay na bakal yung position niya back in the days when he ran for president again, if naalala nyo. I'm not sure he was really a liberal, progressive opposition candidate. He's more like a center-right kind of candidate. No, so I'm not sure that unity formula would have worked under any circumstances, considering some differences and gaps in terms of ideology and perspective between Leni Robredo and Senator Lacson. So now, hindi nag-work, di ba? She tried her best to bring these people together. One Sambayan. Pinagtawanan yung One Sambayan. Yung Sambayan, this and this. Purong nega. Wine. Yan ang problema ko eh. You fight for democracy. You don't whine and whine over its lack. You fight for it. Yung mga nagsabi na EDSA fatigue na tayo, nag-EDSA 1 tayo, EDSA 2. Guess what? Yung ibang bansa, EDSA sila every year. And when I say EDSA, it doesn't mean you overthrow the government. Yung tipong mobilization, you need constant popular mobilization to put pressure. Kasi mga trapo, hindi makikinig sa atin yan unless we put pressure on them, unless we're mobilized, unless you're active citizens, no? So tingnan mo in Thailand, Myanmar, even Malaysia and some of our neighbors, no? Dire-diretso yung protest and mobilization. Not because nega sila, it's because that's the way how to hold the trapos accountable. Otherwise, the trapos will just care about perpetuation of power of themselves, their dynasties and families and so on and so forth, no? So anyways, Leni has tried to put this team together and it didn't work. So now it's her time. Now, as I mentioned, there are 3 factors that we have to keep in mind as far as Leni's potential path to the presidency is concerned. By the way, this is just an analysis. I'm not endorsing anyone per se. But of course, you know where I stand in terms of my principles and values, etc. Right? Ayoko ng magnanakaw, ayoko ng mamamatay tao, ayoko ng sabog, no? Ayoko yung walang pagmamahal sa ating, karagatan, dun sa ating sovereign rights. Ayoko ng mga ganun. I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying it, okay? Bahala na kayo mag-interpret yan. I've written probably 600 articles in the past few years, so you can check some of the stuff I've been saying about the Philippines. But going back dito, I mean, first of all, as I said, tignan nyo yung mga elections natin. The only elections na medyo predictable yung outcome, I'm talking presidential elections especially, is yung nanalo si Erap, no? After Ramos, no? Yun lang sigurong nakikita kong medyo predictable yung outcome. Tignan mo yung 1992 elections, which is very much like elections that is our upcoming elections. Ang daming candidates. May Miriam ka, may Ramos ka. Andiyan rin yata sila, Imelda and all, di ba? Ang gulo yung elections ng 1992, di ba? Ramos was an underdog. He was not even the candidate of Cory and all, and eventually won by a very small margin. My konting controversy, but Ramos didn't turn up as a very bad president. After all, I think he was among the better president. Dun sa next, major predictable yung outcome, nanalo si Erap, di ba? O, di ba, Mitra pa, if I'm not mistaken, di ba? Also in the past was very leading candidate. It didn't work out for him and all of that. So there was a time they thought si Mitra is the guy, shoe-in na siya, the machinery was there. I think si Lito Banayo, yung campaign manager ni Isko, was kind of involved in that. He kind of shared also his stories about that. Clear ba yung voice ko? Sorry, hindi ako gumamit ng yung mga gadgets natin. But anyways, so kung balikan natin yun. So yung race 1998, right? Yung medyo predictable yung outcome, except Erap didn't last that long in presidency, but of course in power he came back again later on. And Isko Moreno can tell you a lot about Erap, no? Pero tingnan mo yung ibang races, no? 2004, I mean, many thought FPJ will win it. Many think FPJ really won it, but well, Arroy held on to it. 2010, Villar was very, very strong heading into elections. But who eventually won it? Noynoy won it. Of course, we also know the circumstances of that, right? So, and then Duterte, 2016. Who expected Duterte to become the president, right? Parang una, mga Rappler lang yata pumapansin kay Pangulong Duterte no? Nung, yung mga big medias, hindi siya pinansin until yung kung ano-anong sinabi niya, mga comments, yung mga grabe, yung mga jokes niya and all of that. Pero nung una, parang sila Rappler lang nag-interview kahit Pangulong Duterte. In fact, the first times I saw extensive interviews of President Duterte was on Rappler. About foreign policy, everything like that. Nakita niya, napaka, respectful relationship, etc. And then, of course, we know how things turn out later on. So, Rappler was among very few kind of mainstream, platforms that really paid attention to Duterte. So, I'll be honest, I didn't know much about the Dutertes until late 2015, nung talagang nag-research na ako, I was like, whoa, sino yan? And then eventually, of course, I wrote a book, a kind of a semi-biography of the president. A copy of which he has, of course. Okay pa naman tayo, di ba? Okay. So, yun. So, if you look at it, grabe, there's an inherent structural uncertainty with our election outcomes, no? So, very rarely nanalo yung expected na manalo. Even si Marcos, Ferdinand Marcos, nung nanalo siya yung pinaka-first term and all. And even his re-election. I mean, that was far from given, no? And there was the Imelda factor, etc., that helped Marcos. So we can go deep into Philippine history, no? And look at, there were many more cases, no? Many more cases involving, underdogs or unexpected or dark horse candidates winning the presidency. So let's be very clear about these things, no? So now, that's one factor. The second factor is, of course, now you have many candidates that are not super different from the anointed successor of the president running. So, if Sara runs, you also have Marcos there. And then, of course, Isko appeals to both sides because he's from the center. And there are people perhaps in the camp of the Marcoses or even Dutertes that may be a little bit comfortable with Isko because Isko is not really liberal opposition, right? So meron kang ganon, di ba? And then meron kang Pacquiao from Mindanao. So if Sara runs and Pacquiao run, medyo mas split din yung Mindanao vote, no? To a certain degree. So this situation is relatively ideal for someone like LENI Robredo, right? Because, especially if both Sara and Marcos run, and then may Pacquiao ka rin dyan. Even if Pacquiao is positioning himself as a kind of oppositionish, right? But if you look at their base, if you look at their overall real or semi quasi ideologies, medyo may overlap yun. So this is an interesting thing. So you have multiple Duterte allies or former allies, to be more correct, to be more accurate about this, running at the same time. This could theoretically benefit LENI Robredo, right? But the third factor, ito, meron ba tayong kasi you know what LENI needs is a vice president that really serves as a force multiplier. And this is where I have a little bit concerned, for instance, with the Isko camp, because Doc Willie Ong is very strong online, but so is Isko Moreno very strong online. I think Isko Moreno can also do well with the OFWs. So, some of the assets and benefits that Doc Willie Ong brings. My thing is that the weakness of Isko is his numbers in Mindanao are very weak. So now let's go to some numbers para we can do some proper analysis. So I think around 4% lang sa Mindanao si Isko Moreno. So I'm not sure the vice president is gonna help him to plug in dun sa mga weaknesses niya, no? As far as Isko Moreno is concerned, no? In fact, Isko is not even the leading candidate in NCR. That's Bongbong Marcos. So hindi lang solid north, but dito sa NCR. Ang lakas ng mga Marcoses, no? So we have to keep that in mind. And interestingly, Isko is the strongest candidate, ABC. He's the strongest candidate among ABC. So mga middle class, a lot sa inyo, no? Sa atin, no? Na nandito, a lot of us are like C or B probably, or may mga nandyan, mayaman dyan na A, no? Friendships tayo dyan, no? Hello dyan. So, Isko is very strong among ABC, pero his numbers, interestingly, Isko is very weak among E, for instance, no? Yung mga talagang pinakamasa, no? And I'm not sure how exactly his vice presidential peak is gonna help him there. Pacquiao is very strong there in E at 20%. He's just second to Sara Duterte. And if Sara doesn't run, Pacquiao could be the top candidate among E, yung poorest of poor Filipinos, no? Which is, I think, the second largest demographic of voters. Pero dun sa urban poor, mas malakas lalo yung D to a certain degree, or yung mga people close to the poverty line, working class, mas malakas sa Isko Moreno kay Pacquiao. But going to LENI, this is the interesting thing. Dun sa latest Pulse Asia survey, LENI is actually 11% among E. So actually, pinakamalakas si LENI sa mga pinakamahirap na Pilipino. And we can understand why, right? Siguro nakikita nila yung compassion, yung malasakit niya and everything like that. So she's at 11%. She's not doing too bad among E, and I think our strategy will be go there. And then, pero ang hina ni LENI sa ABC. So this is very interesting kasi kung pumunta ka sa Twitter, ang dami mga pro-LENI, ngayon pink na yung Twitter, forget about Dilawan, pink na, no? But her numbers are not really good among ABC. Her numbers are also not very good in NCR. She is at 10. The interesting thing here is that paras sila ni Pacquiao na medyo malakas sa E, no? Pero mahina sa ABC. So, weirdly, right? Medyo may similarity yung mga strengths and weaknesses ni Pacquiao and si LENI, right? Both of them are relatively better among E, but very weak or relatively weak among ABC. But geography is the other factor. So, Isko is really weak in Mindanao. He's is pretty okay in Visayas. And much stronger in, of course, NCR, given na yan, di ba? Si Pacquiao, much stronger in Mindanao at 15%, just second to Sara, especially if Sara drops out, he can pick up a lot of numbers there as the son of Mindanao. But napakahina ng numbers ni Pacquiao dito sa NCR, no? So medyo expected naman yan. So I think the Pacquiao strategy will be go to the peripheries of the country and build up his support there. But Lenny is also quite weak dito sa NCR. But her numbers are okay in Visayas. She's at 12% in Visayas. So, geographically, malakas si Lenny sa Visayas, which is also the case we saw in the last election. She did pretty well in the Visayas region. But, balanced Luzon talaga mahina siya, and she has to really make up sa Mindanao. So, her numbers are really also weak, just like Isko. Isko is at 3% in Mindanao, 4% lang si Lenny there. And then, Marcos is not also that strong. He's around at 8%. So, let's see. Mukhang Pacquiao can pick up a lot of numbers, especially kung hindi tatakbo si Sara sa Mindanao, no? So Mindanao may be among not the biggest island, but still, we're talking about huge numbers of people there. And, in a very tight race, like the one we're having now, mahalaga talaga each and every point, no? So, in an interesting way, in terms of demographics, both Lenny and Pacquiao have similar strengths and weaknesses. Medyo stronger among E, quite weak among ABC. So that's quite an interesting thing. You would imagine a slightly different situation, but kasi Isko is so strong among ABC, but surprisingly weak among E, the poorest Filipinos, and then he's doing quite okay among D, no? Medyo urban poor and working class, no? So let's see how is this gonna turn out, because there are some other surveys done na hindi public, na may mga head-to-head, for instance, if Isko versus Sara, or kung wala si Sara, Isko versus Marcos, or three-way or four-way race. But, since Poe is not running, which is almost 100% certain, I think Lenny can pick up some of the numbers there. So she can enter the race at between 10 to 12% at least, I suppose. So that's not too bad. So perhaps she can pick up some numbers here. But definitely Lenny. So this brings me to the third issue. If she's gonna pick a vice president, meron na ba siyang vice president na final na? Si Trillanes na ba? Ano itong Robredo? Meron ba siya? Yun nga I don't know who's gonna be her, like, final, whatever, real vice president. Kasi she really needs a vice president who helps her dun sa weaknesses niya. Lalo dito sa Balance Luzon, no? Mahina talaga numbers. And ABC. So she should get someone who can help her with numbers among ABC and Balance Luzon, consolidate her position in Visayas, and then definitely someone who can also help a little bit in Mindanao, or at least for her not to get too bad numbers in Mindanao, right? Because yun nga Pacquiao could also surge, especially if Sara drops out, no? And if you look at the choice for the second candidates, Lenny is okay. She's the same as Pacquiao also. But the ones who are gonna be most benefiting, if ever drop out si Sara, mukhang si Bongbong Marcos. He's tied at number 1 as second preference for president. And then Isko Moreno. So that's why I think the Isko Moreno camp, they may not be so happy with Lenny running now, because that will take away some of the opportunity for them to get some of the votes on the other side. But I think the Isko Moreno camp are confident that they can strengthen their position among ABC and Balance Luzon. So lalong dito sa NCR, labanan talaga ng Marcos and Isko yan So very interesting ang mangyari dito, no? So okay, so there. So we can go with more with this. Nag two-part tuloy yung FB live ko, baka makat na naman ni Mark Zuckerberg yung ko. Wala nga akong sinasabi di ba? Sinabi ko lang kawawa yung mga trolls. Nung nawala ng 5 hours yung Facebook. Parang, di ba? Di ba? OT pa naman yung iba, may hazard pay pa yata sila. So medyo 5 hours na wala. So okay, sorry na, Marky. No? So now, let's do some question and answer. Let's see, kamusta dyan? Medyo dark ang lighting natin ngayon. May question ba kayo dyan before tayo si Chris Aquino, ayan tignan natin kung si Chris Aquino ay probably she'll run for Senate. I won't be surprised if she runs for Senate. Kiko Pangilinan, I don't know. I didn't see him positioning himself as si Trillanes nga talagang, I think he feels entitled to run, no? So, ganun ba? Sabi ng inquirer si Kiko? Okay. Well, Kiko wanted to run for president back in the days pa, no? Wala lang talagang momentum nun. So, baka ngayon they can do it together. But at least ideologically, personality-wise, medyo maganda naman yung drive nila. But yun nga, how is Kiko gonna help? Is Kiko stronger in NCR? I don't have the numbers on that. You can make your own guess there. Sorry. ABC can improve their read legit. Yun nga itong issue ng ABC, okay, let's be very clear. When we say ABC in the surveys, I don't think it's really the AA there. I don't think surveys are conducted in Dasmariñas, right? Or Forbes Park. Let's just be honest about it. And I think large parts of Forbes, siguro, and Fort Bonifacio, or siguro parts of, Makati, Ayala area. I don't think those parts are where you're gonna do a lot of surveys, right? So hunch ko is, again, I could be wrong on this, but my hunch is a lot of people in this so-called ABC are really more C or a little bit of B, no? A little bit middle class, upper middle class, or new middle class. And a lot of new middle class Filipinos, nakita natin last elections, they were very much behind Duterte and Bongbong Marcos. There are many explanations for that, but this is absolutely not surprising. Nakita natin in Brazil, the middle class was behind Bolsonaro. Nakita natin sa India, the middle class was very much behind Narendra Modi. Nakita natin sa Indonesia, the middle class in the latest presidential elections they had when I was in Jakarta back then, they were behind Prabowo Subianto, kind of more Duterte-ish populist in Indonesia than with Joko Widodo, who is more like East Coast style of populism, no? Populism light or polite populism, if you will, no? So this is absolutely not surprising. I can come up with other cases to explain to this. Turkey, Erdogan, middle class also behind him, especially the so-called Anatolian Tigers. In fact, medyo upper middle class na yun Chile, Pinochet was very much supported by the middle class when he launched the coup against Salvador Allende. A mentor, Dr. Walden Belli, has written extensively on that. Thailand also, nakita natin the yellow shirts. The middle class in Bangkok at some point supported the coup, among others. So just because you're middle class doesn't mean you're necessarily progressive, liberal. And I would say in the case of the Philippines, I think a lot of our middle class are so disillusioned dun sa outcome of EDSA 1 and 2, thinking that you just do two major popular events and then everything will be magically fixed, right? That's not how it works, right? You need constant mobilization. But I think a lot of people nagkaroon ng EDSA fatigue. So now they're looking for magic solutions. Yung mga, 6 months, masolve na, maging Singapore na tayo, mga ganyan people. No? So, and a lot of them, of course, they travel around. They go to Singapore, they go to other countries na are authoritarian and rich, or they used to be authoritarian and became rich, no? And their thinking is, we need someone like that to be our president. So that's why Bongbong Marcos and Duterte have been very appealing to our ABC. But let's see. On Twitter, the ABC, maybe a lot of C and B, no? Especially B, no? They're very pro-Lenin. Nakikita natin yan, no? They're very strong. But tignan natin, hindi ko alam ano nangyari sa TikTok, so let's look at that. But we can have a discussion about that. In fact, in some of my academic works, I have 2 works with Cambridge University Press, Emerging Market Populism, and the other one is Subaltern Populism. I look at the rise of the new middle class in the Philippines. No, these are the people who are able to rise through the socioeconomic ladder, but in terms of their ideology and preferences, they're a little bit less liberal and more authoritarian in terms of their preference. So we can discuss that. I think Mark Garrido, among others in University of Chicago, among other Filipino-American scholars, have done very good research on this issue. Yun nga, Kiko, I don't know. I have to double check that kung Kiko talaga, no? Kasi kailangan talaga ni Lenny ng force multiplier. Mahina talaga siya mga ABC. Ang hina niya sa NCR, ang hina niya sa Mindanao. She's doing fine in Visayas. She's doing fine among the poorest Filipinos, But she has to pick up some number in NCR. She has to pick up some numbers among urban poor, D especially, which is the biggest demographic. And it's more or less the deciding factor in many elections, no? Ay, may mga tanong dyan na mamaya na natin sagutin. Medyo, alam na, baka, mamaya na tayo dyan. Speech, yeah, her speech was okay. It's good. I think some of her supporters cried and got emotional and all. Kasi nakita nila finally yung Lenny na palaban bumalik eh. Kasi tignan mo si Lenny in 2016. Palaban talaga eh. And then medyo pa-nice na siya over the past few years. I understand why. Probably that's her way of navigating very difficult terrain, no? Ito nga, may Marcos says Duterte, breathing over your shoulders, no? But now, nakita natin, palaban mode na siya, no? All in na si Lenny. So I think that really inspired a lot of people. And a lot of people got emotional. Nakita ko over Twitter, ang dami nagsabi na, napayak ba kayo or something like that. Well, clearly you can see, this is not from Kyrie, this is from lack of sleep. I'm sorry, eye bugs talaga. This is from working hard, and I have to write actually an article on this later on shortly. And medyo late ako, dapat Itbulaga time na, I think mga 1 ba, or noon time. Hindi ko nagawa kasi nga, the media and all were asking me all of these questions. So, every day, ang daming mga questions about everything. So, I'm trying to answer them. Okay. Wow, bye-bye Marcos agad? Hindi naman. Malakas talaga si Marcos ngayon. Never underestimate the guy. And, hindi nila natanggap yung talo nila last election. So this time, they're gonna go all the way in. Talagang go na sila. Go na go. Hindi lang si Bongo, but Marcoses mas go pa sila. 2016 elections US. Mahabang usapan yan, no? Mahabang usapan yan. If you wanna go to Trump and 2016 and all of that. Well, let me tell you this. What happened in 2016 is a lot of independents and Democrats, because they wanted someone like Sanders or someone more like Obama, and they didn't like someone like Hillary, hindi sila bumoto. So their demobilization and refusal to vote made Trump win. That's essentially how it happens. The Republicans voted more as a percentage than the Democrats. This is what I remember from 2016 elections. So the lesson here is this. Don't look for a Tesla per se. Sometimes kahit yung Prius nandyan, go for it. But, let me just correct, may mga nagalit sa akin because they thought I'm implying that their favorite is not a Tesla. And I said, baka naman Benz siya. But anyways, you can debate about that. But please, vote not because there's a perfect candidate there. There are never perfect candidates. We're not Denmark, right? I mean, we're not gonna have the level of debates and competitions they have in some of the more mature, advanced democracies. But we will get there. We'll get there. For now, let's just get a leader who has at least the minimum level of competency, hindi mananakaw, hindi mamamatay tao. Medyo naman may competence, may understanding sa basic governance, sa international affairs. Yung tipo naman hindi tayo mapapahiya, yung tipo naman will assert and be strong. May puso at meron din, di ba? Dapat both di ba? Dapat both. Not necessarily next level both, but at least combination of both. Yun ang kailangan natin. Heart alone is not enough. Good intentions alone is not enough. You also have to have the right vision. But having ability to have great vision, but if your heart is not there, that's also not good. You have to have really both. Both mahalaga. So hindi ako agree doon sa mga tao na, meron naman tayong mataling leader dati, ganyan, kaya doon tayo sa hindi matalino. I mean, what the heck, di ba? What kind of thinking is that? Dapat both. Dapat may puso. Di ba? Meron din na, diskarte. Tsaka may alam naman sa basic economics, basic governance, international affairs, magaling yung mga advisors, yung hindi ka mapapaya abroad, yung hindi ka mapapaya pag every time next speech, hindi yung next speech na mga i-bugs ka kung anong oras, kahit recorded na nga, nilalabas na sa midnight. Recorded na nga eh. Di ba? Ewan ko, matagal yata yung editing process eh. Hindi, ano lang yan, ano lang yan. It doesn't make any statements. Iba, it bulagang more motto ko ngayon. Wait lang. Hindi Vico Soto. Vicente, Tito Soto. Malakas siya for VP. So let's see what Bongo is gonna do there. And let's see what Leni's VP will do, whoever it is, no? I like your suit. Thank you very much. Gift yan ng ate ko. Kaya, shout out to ate. Yeah. Salamat. Thank you very much. Yes. Ito yung mga locally made. Hindi yung mga overpriced na ewan. Ano ba? Isko withdraw? No! Hindi mag-withdraw si Isko. Alam mo na, nakakairita yung mga nagsabi, pinapa-withdraw si Isko. Huwag kayo ganun. Isko is all in. That guy, hindi yan pa iba-ibang isip. That guy, when he decides, he goes. No? Wala naman ako in-endorse dito. Kaya I'm trying to be fair to all sides. Huwag naman yung ganun yung papa-withdraw si Isko. Isko is doing very well in the numbers and all. Lalo na kung hindi tatakbo si Sara. Isko could do even better. So, he's actually almost tied. I think number 2 siya or number 1 dun sa second preference. No? So, he can pick up a lot of numbers kung alis si Po and Sara. So, almost sure na yung kay Po, and the Sara one is 50-50. So, if you're Isko, hindi ka masyadong happy that Leni and Pacquiao are running, but, especially Leni, because with Pacquiao, wala rin masyadong overlap. Tama yung sinabi ni Lito na hindi Lito Atienza, yung isa pang Lito, nalilito kasi yung iba sa mga Lito. Yung Lito na campaign manager ni Isko, no? Tama sabi na yung wala silang masyadong overlap in demographics. Tama kitang-kita natin malakas si Pacquiao sa E, ang hina niya sa ABC, D, N, NCR. Isko is very different. Not so good in E, pero malakas talaga siya sa ABC, a little bit sa D and NCR. Mahina si Isko sa Mindanao, malakas si Pacquiao sa Mindanao. So walang masyadong overlapping dalawa. With Leni, potentially some overlap. But interesting lang, mukhang Leni also may similar strengths and weaknesses siya with Pacquiao. In terms of just I'm not talking about in terms of traits and characteristics, I'm just looking at the numbers here and the base of support. So that was quite surprising and interesting if you break it down. Any other question? Yun nga Mindanao, let's see. She didn't do too bad in the last elections, pero mahirapan talaga siya dito, especially if 2 Mindanao run. If both Sara and Pacquiao run, good luck. So she has to really strengthen her numbers in Visayas. And Sara naman, iakyat niya yung numbers na in ABC. I mean, that's quite surprising, no? Ang lakas niya sa Twitter, but ang hina-hina talaga ni Lenny sa ABC based on numbers na nakita natin. So the Filipino middle class, more like the C, who are in the service and all, mukhang they still prefer a much more authoritarian type of leader, no? To kind of Singaporean style leadership, yung habol nila. Whether Bongbong, Marcos, and Sara are those kinds of leaders, that's another question. But we're talking about perceptions and projections here, right? Yeah, Lito Banayo. Yun ang sinasabi ko. Hindi si Lito Atienza. May mga BBM solid. And Lenny is a lawyer and has economics degree. Yes. But remember, presidency, you don't need to have PhD or advanced degrees, masters or law or whatever, right? I think read and write, resident, naturally born, 40 years and above. I think yun lang mga requirements natin. But of course, I'm not looking for, I don't know, Elon Musk type of guy to run my country, right? Not that Elon Musk is really the best guy per se, but hindi naman kailangan na super highest, smartest, whatever. But yung may basic competence lang naman, diba? Yun lang ang kailangan natin para we can get through this process of transition. In fact, at the very least, we need a transitional leader to staunch the governance hemorrhage and push us in the right direction. Yan. Ano pang ibang tanong natin dyan? Star-studded presidential election. Yeah. May mga artista, may mga artistahin, may mga feeling artista, andyan lahat. Yeah, this is fun. This is fun. Actually, I'm very excited about these elections. And when I say this, wala akong illusion, ha? Hindi ko sinasabi na, we know there are gonna be a lot of problems, right? I mean, we really hope these elections will be really competitive. We really hope na walang mga magic na mangyari. We hope the logistics behind the automated elections, all of that, we really hope they move in the right direction. So eyes wide open tayo, no? Eyes wide open, no? We have to have open eyes, no? Talaga kita natin lahat ng mga risks and everything like that, no? So we have to be very clear about that, eyes wide open. But you don't whine, you fight for democracy. And sense ko naman is, if the good candidates have the momentum behind them, it will be hard to cheat them out. It will be very hard to cheat them out. And I'm sure the military and the other important institution of the state, they will stand with the people. They will not go against the people. They'll absolutely stand with the people, no? At alam natin sino yung numbers niya ipababa at pababa, yung medyo may pa-spaghetti yung numbers niya sa surveys, no? Kaya biglang may retirement no? But anyways, why is Lacson not part? Pinag-usapan natin si Lacson kanina. Opposition ba talaga siya? I mean, hindi naman siya pro-Duterte per se, independent siya, but I don't see him as liberal opposition. Kamay na bakal yun, di ba? Yun yung position niya nung last time na tumakbo siya as president. So let's be very clear about that. Okay, let's try to wrap this up because I have to write an article about this, yung latest development natin, especially itong Marcos versus LENI matchup will be an interesting subplot. We were discussing this just the other day, no? So, yung prediction natin, tama. By the way, I didn't ask my contacts or anything like that. I just had a sense she's gonna run. Definitely, especially with Marcos there. And I had a sense talaga Marcos will run. Hinintay lang talaga ni Marcos to see na kung may chance siya na pwede niya talunin si Sara or if Sara will not run. Once they sense that, boom, they're in. And pababa rin yung numbers ni Sara, 8 points yung decline niya. So, pataas yung trajectory ni Marcos, medyo pababa si Sara. So, I think the Marcos has sensed the opportunity. Wow, nakapink. Wow, grabe naman kayo. Just because. And tinutugma ko lang dito sa, sa pocket square ko and all of that. Meron naman ako iba. Tomorrow ako, pula. Gusto nyo? Tapos sabihin niya, ako. Sino ba pula? BBM? So, anong kulay ni Sara? So, anong maging kulay? Anong kulay ni Pacquiao? Yan ang problema eh. Ang daming pula eh. Okay. Alright. Of course, kung nakita niyo mga interviews ko on CNN, Al Jazeera, ganun, of course, we are, di ba? Explain. But, FP alive to eh, di ba? Hindi tayo, I mean, I am that too. I mean, I'm a very serious guy. I teach at the university. I'm teaching in 2 different universities now. Of course, I have that serious side. And, this is serious stuff. I've written 4 books in my 20s to early 30s, right? So, I'm working on another one. Tapos seryoso ka, this is not an easy job. Kita niyo sa iBucks ko. But, at the same time, huwag tayo depress effect. Huwag tayong parang, walang pag-asa. You see, if Germans were like that 56 years ago, Germany will not be the great country it is today. If the Japanese were like that after Second World War, Japan would not have recovered and become the great country it is today, right? South Korea, Taiwan, look at all of the successful countries. not long ago, they were poor, devastated, war-torn countries, right? And now look at where they are. Dahil hindi sila nag-wine-wine lang. They work hard, they fought for democracy, they fought for national development. Kaya ganon. Kaya kahit stress tayo and everything like that, you keep the fire going, right? Fight the good fight. Alright? Sige, maraming salamat. We'll have more discussions once we have more updates doon sa... wala na akong ibang pink yata. So I'm gonna wear pula or blue. So yan, accuse na naman ako ng pro ganito. Kahapon nga dami nagsabi, pro Bongbong ako. Grabe naman kayo. You never know with me. You never know. But, sino yung mga characters sa Game of Thrones? Yung isa yung sabi niya, I care about the interest of the realm. Yung something like that. Yung... sino yan ulit? Okay, sorry. The name escaped. But you remember one of those characters there. I think the one na... yung isa na sabi niya, we're not here to behind a particular kingdom or person. We're here for the interest of the realm, right? So medyo ganun dapat na mentality mo siguro minsan, no? But go, please, support every candidate that you believe meets your minimum requirements at least and go. Go. Purple, wala akong purple. Meron ako may combination na konti. Ayun, ginawa ng fashion show ito Sa bahay, di naman ako lumalabas. Nandito na ako sa bahay. So, gamitin natin yung wardrobe natin kahit papaano. Kawawa naman sila, pansinin natin sila, di ba? Yeah. Ayun, yun nga eh. Grabe naman, Hitler Jr. Okay, wag tayo dyan. Alright. Yeah, Lord Varys. Tama. Siya yung nagsabi na power is like a shadow on the wall. See, I know the quotes. I forget the name. I remember numbers. I remember codes. I remember like, yeah, pero names talaga mahina ako. Yeah, Varys, yeah. We're here to protect the realm, the interest of the realm. Dapat ganun ang mentality. Kaya I love talaga Game of Thrones. Talagang super to yan. Sobrang realistic yung Game of Thrones. Minus all the like medieval killing and all. Yung politics, yung shifting alliances, so real. I mean, so real. Grabe. It really helped me to analyze. Actually, you can use game theory, right, to explain Game of Thrones. And you can also use game theory to explain what's happening in the Philippines. Kasi mukhang both admin and tsaka opposition ay disunited. Unless the Marcoses and Dutertes make a deal or they have already made a deal. I don't know about that. Maybe medyo tawag-tawag tayo ng mga people to know about that. Okay? Alright. Yes, we still don't know Sara Duterte's plan. But Dutertes are Dutertes, you never know with them until the 11th hour or even past it, right? So we're gonna have more discussions also about Sara Duterte. Maraming salamat. So today, nagkaroon ng dalawa. Who will win the debates? Audience impact yan, di ba? President Duterte won the debates in the past. Poe had the best, I think, presentation. But Duterte had the most audience impact. I think nag-jetski din siya dun sa isang debate, di ba, na comment. Audience impact really matters. So, I'm not ruling out Pacquiao even winning the debates, no? Because, if Pacquiao goes sincere and emotional, he can capture the imagination of people. If we see more fire in LENI that we're seeing, then LENI could win it. If we see the Isko Moreno passion and all of that, he could win it. If Sara is, or Bongbong, so it could go either way. All of them bring something to the table. Don't underestimate the candidates. And Lacson, of course, let me pakasabihin. Andyan din si Senator Lacson at magaling din magdebate si Senator Lacson. Is very, diba? PMA yan eh. Solid yung presentation and all of that. He's well trained, in fairness. So I'm very excited. Very excited dito sa 5-6 candidates na meron tayo, no? And Sara could also be there, no? So I'm very excited. And don't whine, register, vote, fight for democracy. All right? That's our only and best way, no, to bring a better future and to protect the interests of the realm, a la Lord Varys, no? Let's keep that in mind. All right? Okay. So there from House of Haydarian. So yan ang mga preliminary analysis on the big event of today. Ayun yung iba dyan, hindi natulog siguro or something like that, excited masyado, whatever. But this is it. I'm very interested. Yes, in the future, we're going to talk more about siguro comparisons between Philippines and other countries. Yeah, the good news is everything I'm telling you here, I've written on that. Or you can see my quotes, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Associated Press, Reuters, all of them have been quoting me here and there. So you can already see bits and pieces of what I'm saying here. And sometimes yung columns ko sa Inquirer, columns ko in the National in Abu Dhabi, columns kay Nikkei Asia in Japan, columns kay South China Morning Post. I'm writing more on geopolitics, more external. But you can check my works around the world, about all of these issues, including sa elections. So now I have to go because I have to write an article about the latest developments, especially itong showdown between Marcos and Leni, which we of course predicted in former Facebook Alive discussions. So maraming salamat. Thank you very much. Please stay with us. Support us, or like just me, I'm just living alone here. Para lang continue natin to, okay? Thank you so much for making this fun. Not trolling me too much. Being nice. Yes. Para may updates tayo from House of Haydarian, right? Yeah. You pronounce it like Kardashian, Haydarian, right? That's how you do it, okay? All right? Let's go. Ito na. Thrilla in Manila. Right. Yes. Salamat. Nelaw, yes. Maraming salamat. Ang daming pink dyan. Interesting. Okay. Medyo underage pa tayo. Medyo underage pa si House of Haydarian. Mamaya na tayo dyan. Okay? So there. Latest Facebook Alive from House of Haydarian in the interest of the realm. Maraming salamat. May music ng Game of Thrones na after that. No, hindi naman. Medyo sana mas maganda ito. Sana hindi maging Squid Game. Sana medyo mas maganda sa Game of Thrones ang mangyari dito, alright? That's why I'm excited. Alright? Maraming salamat. Yan. Huwag maging Squid Game sana, ha? Mabait tayo. Alright. Grabe, fashion house. O sige, next time t-shirt lang ako, ha? Huwag niyo lang ako lightin, okay? Yan. Masarap pala na may holder. Salamat sa mga nagbigay ng holder sa akin. Thanks sa ating mga sponsors, right? For the water I have, for the lighting I have, and the electricity running. Thank you very much. Medyo mahirap na. Thanks to sariling sigap yung iba, so wala na akong matitake masyadong holder. Thank you so much sa nagbigay ng holder. Kasi nakita niyo siguro, nangangalaw na yung kamay ko. Yeah, mas masarap pala. Tsaka magagamit ko itong mga Italian style ko na kasi this gives it a House of Haydarian style of presentation. Alright? Okay. Anyways, this is serious stuff, guys. Okay, this is serious stuff. So, be excited, have humor, but this is serious stuff. Hindi ito biro, hindi ito laro, no? We cannot afford another, alam niyo na, okay? Please, vote smartly and for the interest of the realm, okay? Alright, God bless, thank you very much. There you are, House of Haydarian analysis, latest. Talk to you soon.